So welcome to Chamber Chat-ish. We've changed the platform, of course, because we can't get into the radio station. So we are doing Chamber Chat through Zoom video, which is kind of nice. We can see each other's faces. So I'm your host, Lori Arcetoris, Executive Director of the Lincoln City Chamber of Commerce. And today's guest, we have Austin Kasner with Edward Jones Financial. Tell us what you are and what you do, Austin.
Yeah, well, good morning, Lori. Thanks for having me. I'm Austin Kasner, and I'm a financial advisor with Edward Jones. So I help businesses and individuals and families prepare and plan for their long-term financial goals.
So tell us where you're located in case someone doesn't know.
Yeah, our address is 5053 Southwest Highway 101, Suite A, Lincoln City. So we're down here in Taft. Just on the corner of Southwest 51st and Highway 101.
Yeah, that brand new, beautiful building right on 51st. That is one of the nicest buildings I think we have in town.
yeah, happy to be here and get even a view of the bay from the window. So it's really thankful.
Oh, yeah, that's true. You have a nice view. All right, so Austin, as we know, we're mid-COVID. I don't even know if we can say mid or start or end. But we are in a pandemic right now. So there's a lot of uncertainty and unknown out there, especially with the stock market. So what would be your best advice to people right now?
Great question, Lori. Well, to speak to some of that, I'd say you're right. It's hard to say where the line is, if we're halfway through, or where things exactly are right now. And financial advice is something that's so personal to each individual that it's hard to say anything that is good for one person is good for all. But I'd say, first, of course, make sure everybody in your immediate, your family unit, you're taken care of. Think about your immediate needs right now, because this pandemic is affecting people in a somewhat unique way. We may never have been challenged by coronavirus per se, but we have lots of experience to draw on from volatile market conditions. And so my first thought is just make sure you're okay. If your emergency savings is consistently, supporting your spending, and you're in a position where you're seeing, declines in how much cash you have available, that's kind of the first place to start is, hopefully the stimulus payment, if it hasn't reached you yet, it'll reach you soon. And other things that you can do to kind of keep your cash where it needs to be. But I'd say focus on your immediate needs first is probably the most resounding advice that'll resonate with a lot of people.
Well, and now is a good time, you mentioned the stimulus. If you get that, make sure that you're spending it in the most wise way, or, putting it in the bank if you don't have immediate needs or know what those immediate needs might be. Because like we've said, we're not sure when we're going to get on the other side of this. So now is a good time, I would think, to take a look at every bill that you have, anything that you spend money on, and analyze that.
Yeah, I think it's prudent, and if nothing else, this has prompted some people to take a closer look at your finances, and it's always better to do it proactively than retroactively, but still, consider if there are opportunities to cut expenses. This certainly prompts some people to go ahead and take action on that. You always want to be revising your monthly budgets regularly. I mean, look at it every few months, 3 to 6 months, and make sure that if you've got extraneous expenses on there, take the time to review that. But largely, I mean, it's hard to encapsulate because there's so many people that are affected by this in different ways. So for some people that their emergency fund is not depleted yet, and they're actually sitting pretty good as far as cash goes. We know that a volatile market is likely to continue on. We understand it's not easy to look at a statement, this month compared to how things may have looked for you in January. But you got to keep in mind that a lot of things that people are preparing for, and the established process that we use at Edward Jones, oftentimes you're investing for a goal that is decades away. So to make any knee-jerk reactions right now and do something based off of your emotional response is probably one of the leading causes. The only thing you can do with that is really sabotage yourself. So keep your time horizon in mind. Keep time on your side, because there's a huge difference between the now expenses and the future expenses. If you're preparing for retirement, it's several years or decades away. I mean, that's a big difference from what's happening now as far as making sure that you've paid up on your rent, utilities, and things like that.
Right, and you bring up a really good point too. Make sure you know what happens if you do take money out, because if you're looking at a long-term goal, you've got a long time for this to come back. But if you panic and pull it all out now, there's definitely consequences to that.
Of course, yeah. And the CARES Act has made some provisions in that where they may be waiving penalties for certain withdrawals and things of that nature. But overall, I mean, the most negative effect you could have right now is to be forced to take money that was allocated for your future goal and have to move that to the now money bucket, or container of your choice, whatever you think there. And that just comes back to, if you're invested for the long term, you're buying quality and you're holding it, there shouldn't be a need to make a huge adjustment right when this is going on, even though people feel the need to, because, with good reason, there's a lot of scary news coming out, and people get sort of that knee-jerk reaction impulse right when emotions are very high. So that's probably the most productive thing you can do, is realistically think about your time horizon. Is what's happening right now going to affect your timeline in 10 years from now, 20 years from now? If it is, then there may be adjustments to be made, but you can't say for sure. I'd always encourage people to review your holdings regularly. And if you work with a financial professional, reach out to them. If you don't, make contact with somebody that's local to you to help you go through sort of the nuances and the details of your plan and what you're looking at.
Right, because like we've talked about, it's very different for everybody. Everybody's situation is different. Everybody's finances, of course, are very different. So, now's a really good time to just take a look at everything that you've got. Maybe you need to drop back in a couple of areas, or just make sure that you know where you're at and that you're in the right areas.
Agreed, yeah.
And visiting somebody like you is a perfect way to do that, because I know for me it's confusing. I don't understand those huge long statements or booklets of statements. So yeah, if anybody out there is questioning or wondering or needs a review, you're available. What is your contact phone number?
You can call me at the office here at 541-614-1756, or drop me an email at just my first name dot last name, austin.kasner@edwardjones.com. Give us a call Monday through Friday. We're here, regular office hours, and if we miss you on a weekend or something like that, we'll get right back to you. So yeah, I think that's a great place to start, because there's so many inputs and so much information coming at people right now, that sitting down and taking an objective look at it actually really slows things down. You get another set of eyes on things, and really takes an objective look at, okay, where am I right now? Where do I want to be? And how am I going to get there? It's looking through that established process and really taking note of, am I affected by this? Because at this point, anything that you're hearing is generally just inducing more panic, which is never helpful.
Right. And sometimes just having that other set of eyes, things that you don't even realize that you could change or could take place. So now's a really good time to be working with a financial advisor.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. And thank you for being part of the chamber board. I really appreciate your input on the board. And we're in Rotary together on the Rotary board. So thank you for all that you do for Lincoln City and locally.
And thank you, Lori. I mean, my heart goes out to you being in the center of all the local business right now, but especially for our local businesses. That's where my heart is at this moment. I hope we can continue to give them some support until we're through the other end of this, and make sure those around you are taken care of. So I hope that when we come out the other side, people are a little bit better for it as far as the feel of our community and making sure that, again, everyone's taken care of. So thanks for.
Right. And like we keep talking about, we will have a new normal. We will get through this. We'll get through this together. And, you know, we will appreciate a lot of things that we've never really had to think about before. So, yeah, I think a lot of things are going to get better for us. But we just have to get through it first. And, you know, if just trying to work for the small businesses, especially, to make sure that they have the resources that they have to get back up and running.
Right. On the grand scale, we're looking at a few factors. I mean, no one can say how long this will last, truly, but we're waiting for new infections to hit sort of a peak and potentially a decline. We'd like to see maybe some expanded fiscal support. Some signs of improvement in other countries would be great that have been hit first. And then overall, really, a lot of these companies that make up components of our indexes, so the S&P 500 and things, kind of revise their earnings downward, meaning that we know they're going to take a hit, and we want to see how bad that projection is. But on the local level, I think that's everything we can do is just what you mentioned, just taking care of each other, remaining positive, focus on what's in your control. We spend a lot of time focusing on things that are completely out of our control, which I think just induces more stress and is not necessarily productive. So focus on what you can control.
Yep, absolutely. Take care of yourself and take care of your family first and foremost. The rest will fall into place.
Very true.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. And we will chat later.
Sounds good, Lori. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.